Mike Perlack here to entertain you with the help of Marty Simon again. Yo hey yo, humbare, yo hey ra, ya rum yo hey yo, humbare, yo hey ra, ya rum Yo hera yarum rudenji. So, I finally finished season 3 of LEXX. This collection is a little misleading. It says complete series, but there is a 4th season. I think it moved to the Sci-Fi Channel years ago. That was actually the case with a lot of science fiction series of the day. But, so I wanted to share some of my thoughts on the end of season 3. So the first episode in season 3 is called Fire and Water. The last episode is called Hell and Heaven, or Heaven and Hell. The second to the last episode, called The Beach, basically is all about Stanley Tweedle's judgment. The Prince character has to die in order to go to the center of fire in order to deal with Stanley's judgment. At least it seemed that way to me. I thought that was interesting. But as I stated on prior videos I've made in regards to this TV series, death is quite meaningless on both Planet Fire and Planet Water. Basically, the person dies, they might be in limbo for a little while, but eventually they're right back where they were at on either fire or water, not either or, wherever they initially ended up the first time around that they died. But, and even the Prince character does admit his power is confined to Planet Fire. So in this last episode, Zev is able to convince, after Prince dies and so he can go deal with Stanley, Zev is able to convince one of the devil's or Prince's servants that she is Prince. With quite ease, I might add. Basically, the guy comes in wielding a knife. Where's our Prince? And Zev calmly sips some water. Water's only available to Prince and his minions on Planet Fire. They say, he says, where is our prince? And Zev simply calmly sips water and says, I'm your prince. And the servant bows his head and goes back to doing, no questions asked. Just goes right back to doing whatever the hell he was doing, guarding the fortress or whatever. And it made me think, I guess it would be very easy to convince a group of morons that you are the devil. I would think and hope maybe not so easy to convince a group of free-thinking people that you are God. But then in real life, I see all these people willfully giving up their freedom little by little to the government so they don't have to, they don't have to be accountable or responsible. They're free from accountability and responsibility. We don't need God. We have government to save us. Those type, the type that go on national TV like somebody did, the leader of the free world a couple of days ago, talking about it's free thinkers who are a threat to our democracy. Sorry, back to LEXX. So Prince, being intrigued by the Zev's character being part cluster lizard and her cluster lizard nature, wants her to be his queen, stating quite clearly that there really would not be much difference between being his queen and being his slave. She plays along at first, but then Prince wants confirmation of her faith in him and requests that she kill one of his servants. And I was actually quite intrigued by the servant's apology to Prince for fighting her off when she tries to strangle him. She basically... he's able to fight her off, and he turns around, I'm sorry, my prince, I did not want to die. To which then the prince just in turn gives him a comforting pat on the shoulder, and then kills him. But then life has very little value on Planet Fire and Planet Water in this series. So it's at that point that Zev's cover is blown and she basically escapes back to the LEXX. The LEXX, who, thanks to his snacking on those fruitcakes and hot air balloons from the episode Girl Town, which is a city on planet Fire, he's able to function a little better and blow up planets again. Thanks to the fruitcakes. So while all this is going on, basically Stanley Tweedle's body is frozen, and cryogenically frozen on the LEXX, while his spirit, soul, life essence, whatever you want to call it, is basically on planet Fire, on and in planet Fire, because in life he was, quote, not the most virtuous person. So he's basically living a cycle of live, suffer, die, limbo. Live, suffer, die, limbo. Which kind of brought to mind, for me, the concept of suffering versus will to live. And even the Prince character does admit to the Kai character, when he's sitting there with him at the center of fire, that he doesn't know how or why he exists. Saying that he was not there at the beginning of time. So Zev, with some reluctancy because of her human side, there's a a momentary scream coming out of her, and then she gives in to her more aggressive cluster lizard nature and blows up planet Fire. An act of faith, thinking that it's the only way to free Kai, who is stuck in planet Fire at the center with Prince. But she has faith that he'll be invincible to destruction, because he is technically already dead and has been for 3 seasons in real life, or over 6,000 years within the context of the storytelling of this series. So blowing up planet Fire was Zev's doing, but this act does interfere with the balance. So Prince probably, but who knows, takes control of the LEXX and uses it in turn to blow up water. After it only seems like it's Prince's doing, but the conflict between fire, water, heaven, hell, God, the devil, evil, good is pretty much over at this point. Personally, I always thought the concept of heaven and hell both was pretty juvenile concepts, but after pondering a little bit, I think it was more like some kind of divine intervention, I think, because even Prince's powers, remember, are confined to fire. And when Zev sees him outside the window of the LEXX after she blows up fire, he's giving her he's basically, just floating around in space, and he's just basically giving her a big thank you to Zev, like a huge burden had been lifted from him in Planet Fire's destruction. What I found intriguing is when the soul, spirit, life essence, whatever you want to call it, on the ones flying around space because fire is gone, seem uneasy, scared, even angry, flying all around the LEXX and inside and all around Zev, and they're like, "What? Our home is gone! Oh my God! Well, our home? No, our home is gone!" they're obviously uneasy, unsettling spirits or souls or life essence, whatever you want to call it. But in contrast to that, when water is destructed and blown up, those spirits, souls, life essence, whatever you want to call it, are more at peace. One of them, actually, I thought might have been Bunny. I like the Bunny character in this series. She's just so full of life. Adorable. But anyways, those soul, spirits, life essence flying around because water is gone definitely seem like they are more at peace. And not necessarily happy that water was blown and water is gone, but they don't seemingly are disappointed either. So that is essentially the end of season 3. There is a bit of an epilogue where the LEXX still starving, can only fly a short distance at this point in the storytelling. But as luck would have it, there is one life-bearing planet in the vicinity that may or may not be Earth. Yes, the Earth that we all know and love here in the real world. But then that's open for interpretation. After all, this is a science fiction show, y'all. But it is specified that planets Fire and Water, or Heaven and Hell if you prefer, were completely out of practical range to this newly discovered planet. And when I say newly discovered, I mean newly discovered by the characters in the series. The LEXX, Stanley Tweedle, Zev, Kai, 790, the robot head, which is basically the comic relief of the series. And I guess LEXX, the LEXX itself, the big bug-like spaceship, is also a kind of character in the story. So they set a course towards this life-bearing planet that isn't too far away, so LEXX can get there to fight despite the fact he's still starving. And after they're on their way, lo and behold, some humanoid figure is flying through space. Maybe Prince, screaming at the top of his lungs, "No pain, no joy, no pain, no joy, no pain," flying around the sun and towards the Earth as well. Or this Earth-like planet they discovered. So this is the second time in my life watching this series. I did watch the whole thing years ago. I recall, I think they let the LEXX eat Haiti at some point when they get there. It's like, the LEXX is starving. Well, we don't want them to eat all the organic life on this planet, so go ahead and eat Hades, LEXX. You'll feel better and function better, at least. Okay, one thing I did forget to mention or say. So when Kai is at the center of Planet Fire with Prince, keep in mind, Kai is already dead. But even his soul, spirit, life essence is at the center of Planet Water. So Prince cannot make Kai suffer like all the others. Prince makes it clear to Kai, his goal, his intent for Kai is to keep him there with him at the center of Planet Fire, to keep him company. In this show, the Kai character is probably the closest character in the series to being Jesus or Christ-like, if you could even call it that. But man, if I didn't have to work for a living, I'd probably write a thesis on this series. But for me, even as a child, it was very belittling, I thought. Even though, yeah, I think I have an honestly healthy fear of God. But the whole, if you're bad, you go here, and if you're good, you go there, was a bit belittling, even as a child to me. I like my interpretation of all this show. I like this show. It's different. But I like my interpretation because I believe my interpretation puts a higher value on life in general. And I think we need more of that, even in our real world. I think that would be a good thing if we had a little bit more of that. So I'll go on to season 4, and I guess at this point the LEXX crew is going to explore an Earth-like planet with Earth-like humans on it. I think they're going to be disappointed. I know I am. Mike Perlak, thank you for your time.